Well, good morning everyone, Rod Culleton. I just wanted to do a short live. First of all, I just want everyone to take note of what's happening in America, because that's exactly what I've been saying. We need a constitutional audit in this country, and I understand the Prime Minister, or the pretending Prime Minister, Albanese, has got off the phone this morning with the President of the United States. That's going to be very interesting, because it appears that tariffs are now going to be put on Australian exports.
Next, in 2018, you imposed ad valorem duties, tariffs on imports of steel at a 25% rate. Since that time, a large number of exclusions and exceptions to that tariff rule have been implemented. Because of the damage to the United States steel industry that those exceptions and exclusions have imposed, we're now, this order would reimpose that 25% ad valorem tariff rate on imports of steel, and it's presented for your signature now.
Okay. And I do believe the pressure will come on for Australia, and that is to come back under our founding law, and that is under our constitution that was gifted to us at Federation, that runs this whole nation, and it's our title deeds, and that's exactly what I have been saying. There has been a subversion of our rights through our law, and we need to get this whole country back into jurisdiction. Look, I as a farmer, and look, we're not going out against keep the sheep, we're just putting the message very clear: keep shipping sheep. I know it is a bit controversial to some people, but I want to play you something. I'm doing a video now. I'm doing the first presentation to farmers at Wongan Hills. That is this Saturday on the 15th of February. Short notice, but anyone that wants to come along, I want to give the view of a federal senator. It's not legal advice. You don't need legal advice. And I understand when growers go to these meetings and have these so-called peak bodies speak on their behalf, there's never any senators at those meetings, and in actual fact it's the senators that give it the final tick in order to have that bill put through to the so-called Governor General in order to become law. So it is the highest jurisdiction in the country. There is no question about that. I have sat in it, I know it, I understand it, I have all the tools to do that job. And Murray Watts took off as Agriculture Minister on a quo rento, which was show us where you have the power to shut down live trade and go against section 51(1) of our founding law, which is commerce and trade, and he took off the next day by 9 o'clock. But anyway, we've got another one parachuted in. I think it's Collins. But I want to explain to the growers and they can decide what they want to do. I want to pitch it, because at the end of the day, this government has no power, executive power, to shut down the trade. It is trying to contract with those growers and get terms, obviously, to give some sort of payment.
So back in May, the federal government announced this plan to end Australia's live sheep exports by sea in May 2028, a decision that really just affects Western Australia. And it had been a long time coming. Federal Labor took this promise to 2 elections, but nevertheless it was still met with really fierce backlash from WA farmers and industry. Now, to soften the blow, the federal government came up with a so-called transition support package. This was $107 million to help the industry wean off live exports, diversify, find new markets. But this figure was pretty immediately labelled as inadequate by both the industry and the WA Labor government, which has been really lobbying their federal counterparts, trying to squeeze more money out of them for this transition package, especially when live sheep have become such an election issue heading into both state and federal elections. So now, in her first visit to Western Australia since taking on the agriculture portfolio in July, Minister Julie Collins will be in the state's Southwest today, and she'll be announcing an extra $32.7 million for that transition support package to help those communities diversify, also help with community wellbeing supports for those communities really anxious about this ban. You've seen in recent months the so-called Keep the Sheep campaign, those opposed to this ban taking their fight all the way to Canberra. We're yet to find out how they'll respond to this announcement and whether it'll make any difference to their plans to really campaign against Labor in key seats here in Western Australia to make them pay for this decision, essentially. Meanwhile, we know that the Coalition has vowed that if elected, they would overturn this ban and reinstate the live sheep trade.
Relief, the question, the answer the Australian farmers need to do is just outright, no, we're not interested. You cannot show us at law where you can shut down or place a prohibition against a right to keep shipping sheep, because that would be devastating in Western Australia. And I want to just quickly play this. I'm putting a short video together, so getting back to where I am, it's in Wongan Hills, it's in Auckland Street, and it's at the McCarty Centre. Hang on, let me have a look. McCarty, that's at the McCarty Centre I'm pretty sure it's the 7 Auckland Street in Wongan Hills. So come along, it's worth a listen if you really want to continue without hindrance on your right to trade healthy sheep overseas. But I want to put this one to you. Listen to this fellow. Now this is Albanese.
More needs to be done to prevent future incidents of animal cruelty.
Well, interesting that, because I want people to go on and have a look on the internet. There's not much to it, but Google the flock reduction scheme. Labor, Albanese's government, through I think it was John Kerrin, the agriculture minister at the time, put a mandate out to murder, I'm putting this on the public record, murder up to 20 million sheep. And I was a young fellow, very much entrenched in the wool industry. I can give you buying and trading on wool, which was the whole country was built on the sheep's back. And with what we do with it, we're producers of the most finest wool and coarse wool in the country, in the world, sorry. So I can remember those days, and sheep were being gassed to death, gassed with petrol fumes in the back of semi-trailers because Labor said there was too many sheep. Now these sheep, in a lot of cases, were only 1-year-old ewes. They did not want the flock to increase. They said we had too many sheep in Australia. Labor mandated the murder of up to 20 million sheep, and he has the audacity to turn around and says there's cruelty on the live sheep export. Absolute nonsense. So 20 million sheep Labor sent to their death, and I can tell you there was honestly, the trucks looked like water carts. There was that much body fluid coming out of the back of the tailgate, and those sheep in a lot of cases were not dead, and they were buried in pits. And when you went along the highways out in the country, there were all these sticks that was their hock sticking out of the dirt. So Albanese, start telling the Australian people how your government sent 20 million sheep to their death. So don't you come and start saying that there's cruelty to that extent on live shipping. Absolute nonsense. And I can tell you, out of this presentation, you're going to see the real reason why Albanese turned his back on Australian farmers, because he did a preference deal with the Animal Justice Party. So it's all about preference deals to remain in power. Come to the seminar. It is on the 15th. just want to put my presentation to the Australian farmers and to the Australian rural communities, and let's deal with the real elephant in the room, and that is net zero, to where I'm now linked up with the UK farmers through their Prime Minister. No family farms will be inexistent. They'll become extinct from 2030 through to 2050 on this bullshit climate change, and that all the farmers, pretty well much rural communities, highways will be put back to natural bush, and they cannot do it. So come on, Australia, this is our country. It's not about these people who we believe. We tend to have this magnetic pull to the major parties. I don't know why. And the Nationals, who's supposed to be out there for the farmers, have supported net zero. So come along. Be lovely to see you. It starts at 5:30. I'll be mingling with the people, having a chat. Obviously, we'll have a bite to eat, and then I'm going to put my presentation. So I'll get back. I've just come in for a bit of. I've just wrestled the early bird for the first worm, so I was up pretty early this morning. I came off second best, I might add, but anyway, got to give me 10 out of 10 for trying. So good to see everyone. If you can get up to Wongan Hills, that will be the start of keep shipping sheep, no question. Put the right message out there. God bless. See you in the winner's circle. Bye for now.